I'm Jake Garcia with Texas Private School Media, joined here by Cooper Land, head coach of the St. Michael's boys basketball team. After a 2025 state championship win, Coach Coop and the Warriors currently sit at 19-5, ranked 8th overall in the state of Texas and number 1 among private schools. The Warriors begin district play tomorrow, January 6th, against the Central Catholic Buttons, as they begin their road to Waco in pursuit of back-to-back state championships. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Coach, in the past couple of years, we've seen you and your squad take the step onto the national stage, competing in prestigious tournaments, going toe-to-toe against the nation's best. What would you say about the state of the program, how it's grown in your time here, as well as the importance of facing these types of teams to prepare the guys to make a late-season playoff push?
I think our program has come a really long ways in terms of, the level of competition we're able to compete with, and that's 100% because we have some really good players, and we've had a lot of really good players come through here that have helped get us to this point. What's really exciting is we have a lot of guys that are not scared to play against anybody and really seek out. Part of the reason they come here is so they can play against the toughest competition possible. And obviously, I'm a firm believer that iron sharpens iron, and the only way we could reach our potential is to be challenged as much as possible. And our guys have bought into that. And so I'm really fortunate to get to coach here, and I've been fortunate to coach a lot of good players. And so it's fun to see how far the program has come, through the work of so many different guys over the last couple of years. And then this year, we just got back from Arkansas, where we played 3 of the best teams in the country and learned a lot about what we're good at, what we're not good at, and lost the last 2 games. So sometimes it's good to be reminded you're not quite as good as you think you are. So I think we're in a good spot, having played such a tough competition going into district play.
Yes, sir. And you touched on earlier just the overall talent of your roster, and something that a lot of people think is very impressive is your ability to develop players and keep such a talented roster every year. Especially last year, after such a dominant run, there was significant roster turnover, both due to players going to play college basketball and the transfer of Bo Ogden. And I think something that's been very clear this year is the impact of 3 main dudes, Will Gasink, Nolan Barkley, and Sunjin Kaul. And what would you say about their ability, their growth from last year, kind of stepping into that leadership role, and their ability to put the team in a position to be so successful?
Yeah, well, all 3 of those guys were super excited to have a bigger role. That's not necessarily saying that they wanted anyone to transfer or they were excited to see anybody graduate, but they're very confident young men. They all work extremely hard, and they knew that they were ready to take on the challenge of having a bigger role and not letting our program drop at all. And to this point, that's exactly what they've done. All 3 of those guys are our captains. They've been great leaders for our younger players and guys that have transferred in who have also made a huge impact. And then some of the other guys that don't get mentioned a lot have also embraced taking on a bigger role, and their work, you think about Kanan Brown, Liam Koryoff, the guys that have been in the program, combined with the guys that have transferred in with Nico Cajas, Narayan Varma, and Jaden Buchanan. Those guys have all worked extremely hard to be ready to have the roles that they have. And none of that works, though, if they aren't all unselfish people. None of those guys care about their stats. All they care about is the team success. And this program wouldn't be where it is now if it wasn't based on that.
Yes, sir. And kind of, again, you touched on those guys that I didn't mention. And my next question was something that a big difference this year is the impact of the younger players. Last year, a lot of people would say it was a very senior-heavy class. Seniors and juniors were the primary production on the team. But this year, players like you mentioned, Narayan Varma, Nico Cajas, Liam Koryoff, both coming off the bench and rotating into that starting lineup. How have they grown in such a short time on campus, as well as what's the importance of having that kind of depth in such a long season?
Yeah, it's we had a stretch we played 20 games in 28 days or something stupid like that. So you got to have a lot of depth, and it's really just been trial by fire. I mean, those guys have needed to play big minutes against really good competition, and I think the work that they put in, not only with us and our practices, but outside of that, in terms of getting up shots on their own, getting in extra strength and conditioning sessions on their own over the course of an entire year, not just the season, has really prepared them to not only physically be able to compete, but also mentally. There's some mental toughness that comes along with that, where those, you can put them in against some of the best players in the country, and they're not rattled because they know that they've done everything they possibly could to be prepared to play well in those moments.
Yes, sir. And how would you kind of explain how you balance both competing for a state title and trying to develop the younger players at the same time?
Yeah, well, we don't ever talk about winning a state title. Our whole philosophy, it sounds super cheesy, you hear it all the time, but our whole philosophy is we're going to work as hard and as smart as we can every single day. That doesn't necessarily mean you're running your guys into the ground or having 3-hour practices, but whenever it's time to work, it's time to work, and it's going to be competitive, and you're going to be uncomfortable in practice, whether it's physically or mentally or both. And we're going to do that every single day. And if we do that every single day, and we're unselfish and we hold each other accountable, the results will take care of themselves.
Yes, sir. And you mentioned earlier about the tournament y'all just returned from in Arkansas. After close losses to, once again, national powerhouses, you end off the break on a high note, defeating Austin powerhouse Bowie High School 77-66 last Friday. Just kind of touch on your team's ability to stay resilient and focused in such a busy pre-district schedule, like you said, 20 games in 28 days.
Yeah, I think that game, our guys really bought into our game plan, and I think it finally clicked on how hard we need to play every single possession defensively. We don't have much room for error. We can't afford to take possessions off or be lackadaisical. And you really saw that come together in the first half of that game. I was really proud of how hard we competed defensively. I don't think we played very well offensively in that game. We missed a bunch of layups. We didn't run good motion. But my whole point to them has constantly been we should play so hard and so smart that even when we don't play well offensively, we can beat good teams. And that's what we were able to do against Bowie. So I was really, really proud of our guys for buying into that.
Yes, sir. That was a great win. As somebody around the basketball program, both as a fan and somebody that knows a bunch of the guys personally, something that's become associated with the program has been the phrase "as one," and I'd like you to explain kind of what that means and how you see your team embody that both on and off the court.
Yeah, well, it comes from the movie Boys in the Boat, which was our theme for last year's team, and we kind of carried that on into this year. I read that book last year, and the parallels between rowing and basketball are very obvious, and you're only as strong as your weakest link. And there's so many things that we need to do together simultaneously and with the same amount of effort that as one kind of sums all that up. We show up on time, ready to work as one. On the court, we're rotating as one. Whenever we're running a set, everyone has a job to do to get the final result. And if one person doesn't do that job, then it doesn't work out. So everything we're doing is as one. Nobody's bigger than the program, including myself. And so I think our guys have really bought into that, and that's part of the reason why we've had such an unselfish group.
Yes, sir. And just to end it off, I know you said earlier that y'all don't discuss winning a state title, but y'all just had your last practice before district starts. With district starting tomorrow, what gives you the confidence? What is it about this group that you think makes them capable of kind of repeating or accomplishing the goal?
Yeah. I think we have a really skilled group of guys, a really skilled and a really unselfish group of guys. It makes us difficult to guard whenever we're clicking. And I think this is probably the best passing team I've ever coached offensively. Our assist to turnover ratio this year is the best it's ever been. And so that combined with all these guys being unselfish and bought into team over me gives us a chance to do some special things. Like beating a dead horse, but if we will just buy into how hard we need to play every single possession defensively, that's where the room for improvement is. If we figure that out, it'll be a lot of fun. If we don't, then there's a chance we could be disappointed at the end of the year.
Yes, sir. Coach, it's been a pleasure having you today. Thank you for joining me. All eyes are on the Warriors as they begin district play tomorrow against the Central Catholic Buttons. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.